Michael's memory. My name is Michael. I am a retired soldier now. Many years ago I joined the army. I was only 19 at that time. I joined because I wanted to serve my country. I felt proud when I wore the uniform. My parents smiled when they saw me in it. I believed I was doing something good and important. I went to the training camp and met many other young men. Some were nervous, some were excited. We trained every day, from morning until night. We ran, we lifted weights, and we learned how to use weapons. We learned discipline, teamwork, and how to follow orders. My best friend there was David. He had red hair and always laughed a lot. David and I did everything together. We shared food, we cleaned our boots, and we talked about home. He was from a small town like me. His parents were farmers. At night we sat outside and looked at the stars. Sometimes we talked about our dreams. I said I wanted to be a teacher after the army. He said he wanted to open a bakery. One morning our commander came to our tent. He told us we were going to the war zone. My hands started to shake when I heard those words. David looked serious, and I could see the fear in his eyes. We packed our bags in silence. The camp felt quiet. Everyone was thinking about what was waiting for us ahead. We travelled by truck for many hours. The road was long, dusty, and hot. None of us spoke much during the ride. I watched the trees go by and tried to stay calm. Some soldiers slept, some prayed. I thought about my mother and her warm meals. I wished I could see her face one more time before the fight began. When we arrived at the war camp, it was very different. The air smelled like smoke and dust. The other soldiers there looked tired and older. Some had not smiled in weeks. I saw fear and pain in their eyes. They had already seen things we hadn't. I felt like a boy pretending to be a man. I knew that nothing would ever be the same. We stayed in tents with thin blankets. The ground was hard and cold at night. We took turns staying awake to watch. Sometimes we heard gunshots or planes flying above. Every loud sound made us freeze. I tried to stay brave, but it was hard. David whispered stories to help me sleep. His voice was calm, and it helped me feel safe. One afternoon we were told to move forward. We walked for hours with heavy bags on our backs. My legs hurt, my feet were full of blisters, the sun was hot, and the dust made it hard to breathe. David walked ahead of me, always strong. He looked back and smiled, even when he was tired. I followed him, step by step. Finally, we stopped near a small village. It looked peaceful. There were children playing with a ball. One girl waved at me. I smiled and waved back. She gave me a flower and ran away. I kept the flower in my pocket. It reminded me of my sister. That moment was quiet and warm. It felt like the world was normal again, just for a little while. David sat beside me under a tree. He pointed to the hills and said, "One day I want to walk there with no fear." I nodded and said, "We will." We didn't know what would happen next. But that small moment gave me hope. That's where I'll stop for today. I will tell you more in the next part. The next day we woke up before the sun. The sky was still dark and the air was cold. We packed our bags again and started walking. I didn't know where we were going. No one talked much. We were all tired. I looked at David. He gave me a small smile. That made me feel better. I walked behind him step by step. We reached a new camp in the forest. It was quiet and full of tall trees. We made tents between the trees and tried to stay low. Our commander told us to be careful. The enemy was close. We had to watch every step. We stayed there for days. Sometimes it rained, sometimes it was too hot. Every day felt the same. I started to feel different inside. My body was strong, but my heart was tired. I missed my home more each day. I missed my sister's voice and my mother's food. At night, I looked at the sky and thought about my house. I thought about the people waiting for me. I wrote letters to my family and said I was okay. David stayed close to me. He was quiet too, but he never left my side. We ate together. We walked together. We cleaned our guns together. I think he missed home like I did. One evening he showed me a picture of his little brother. He said, "I promised him I'd come back." I said, "You will. We both will." The days passed slowly. Every sound made us stop. Every bird or crack in the leaves felt like danger. We learned to move quietly. We watched the ground and the sky. One time we saw a group of enemy soldiers far away. We did not fight. We stayed down and waited. My heart beat fast. My hands were cold, but we stayed safe. Then one morning something happened. We heard a loud noise. The ground shook. We all dropped to the ground. It was an explosion. Our commander shouted orders. We ran to our places. Smoke filled the air. I could not see much. David grabbed my arm and pulled me behind a tree. I heard shouting and more noise. I was scared. That day changed something in me. I realized the war was real. It was not like the training. It was not like the stories we heard. It was hard and loud and dark, but I was not alone. David was there. The other soldiers were there too. We helped each other. We shared water and food. We watched each other's backs. After the attack, we moved again. We found a safer place and made new tents. My hands were sore. My clothes were dirty. I was tired, but I was alive. That night, David and I sat near the fire. He didn't talk. I didn't talk either. We just looked at the fire. It was warm. It helped us feel a little better. In the quiet of that night, I thought about the people at home. I thought about the flower the girl gave me. I still had it. It was dry now, but I kept it in my pocket. It made me think about peace, about simple things, about the life I wanted after all this. I hoped I would see my family again one day. David looked at me and said, "I miss the sound of my brother's laugh." I nodded. "I miss my sister's songs," I said. We didn't need to say more. We both understood. We wanted the war to end. We wanted to go home. We wanted to be boys again. But for now, we had to stay. We had to wait. We had to be strong. Weeks passed, and every day felt the same. We woke up early, ate simple food, and followed orders. Sometimes we moved to new places. Sometimes we stayed in one place for days. The forest became our home. The sound of birds and wind in the trees was the only music we had. We started to know each tree and each path. One day we met some local people. They were kind and quiet. They gave us bread and fruit. One old man gave me a wooden charm. He said it was for luck. I thanked him and put it in my pocket. David got a scarf from a little boy. The scarf was blue and soft. He wore it around his neck and smiled. There were quiet days, but also hard ones. Some days it rained, and we had no dry clothes. Some nights were very cold. We didn't sleep well. I started to have bad dreams. In my dreams, I heard loud noises and saw dark skies. I woke up sweating. David sometimes woke up too. We didn't talk about the dreams, but I knew he had them. Our commander told us we were doing well. He said we were brave. I didn't feel brave. I felt tired. I felt lost. But I didn't give up. I followed orders. I helped others. David and I took care of each other. When I felt weak, he gave me water. When he felt sad, I gave him a piece of bread. We shared everything. Then something special happened. A letter came for me. It was from my sister. She wrote about school and her cat. She said she missed me and drew a heart at the bottom. I read it many times. I kept it close. It gave me hope. David read it too. He said, "That's beautiful." I smiled for the first time in days. After that, I started writing more letters. I wrote to my sister, my mother, even to my old teacher. I told them I was okay. I told them I missed them. Writing helped me feel normal again. David wrote letters too. We made a small game of it. Who could write the best letter that day? It helped us smile again. One evening we sat by a river. The water moved slowly. The sky was orange and pink. We watched the sunset. It was quiet, and for a moment everything felt peaceful. I took a deep breath. I looked at David. He was looking at the sky. "Maybe one day," he said, "we'll come back here with our families." I nodded and said, "I hope so." That night by the river stayed in my mind. It was the first time in weeks I felt something like peace. The water, the sky, the soft wind, it all felt like home. I closed my eyes and listened to the sounds around me. I didn't hear guns. I didn't hear shouting. Just the river, just the wind, just us. The next morning our peace ended. We were told to move again. There was a new mission. We didn't ask questions. We packed our things and followed orders. The road was long and dry. We walked for hours. My feet hurt and my back was sore. David didn't complain. He just walked beside me, like always. We reached a hill and stopped. From the top, we could see a town far away. It looked small and quiet. The commander said we had to stay there for a few days. We made a camp at the bottom of the hill. I was happy to stop walking. My legs felt like stone. I drank water and lay down on the grass. During those days, we helped the people in the town. We gave them food. We fixed broken things. We played with the children. It felt good. One girl gave David a drawing she made. It was a picture of him smiling. He laughed and thanked her. I saw a different side of him. He looked like a big brother, not a soldier. I met a boy named Emil. He was 10 years old. He asked me about my life. I told him I had a sister his age. He said he wanted to be a soldier too. I said, "Maybe you can be a doctor instead." He smiled. Emil followed me around and asked many questions. He reminded me of my younger self. One day, Emil showed me a secret place behind the houses. It was a small garden with flowers and a bench. It was quiet and hidden. I liked to sit there and write in my notebook. I wrote poems, small ones, just for myself. I didn't show anyone, not even David. That garden was my place to think and feel. David found me there one time. He didn't say anything. He just sat beside me. We stayed silent for a while. Then he said, "I had a place like this back home." I nodded. He closed his eyes and leaned back. I could tell he was thinking about his family. I was too. We missed them more each day. That night there was music in the town. Someone played a guitar. The children danced. The old people clapped their hands. We watched and smiled. I almost forgot I was a soldier. I almost felt normal again. David said, "Let's remember this night." I said, "I will." We didn't know how long it would last. The next morning was quiet again. The sky was soft blue and the air felt light. I walked through the small town. People were sweeping the streets, opening windows, saying hello. It felt like a dream. For a moment the war was far away. I bought a small bread from a woman at the corner. She smiled and said, "Be safe." We spent 3 more days in that place. Each day I felt stronger, not in my body, but in my heart. I started to believe that peace was possible, that life could be kind again. I cleaned my boots, fixed my clothes, and helped the others. At night we sat by the fire, telling stories, even laughing. I hadn't laughed in so long. David found a ball for the children and kicked it to them. They laughed and ran after it. He looked so happy, like he was back in his neighborhood. I joined them and played too. My body moved freely. I forgot my pain. The children didn't care about the war. They only wanted to play, to smile, to feel safe. That night, David showed me a letter from his mother. She said she was proud of him. She missed him. She prayed for him every night. He didn't speak as he read it, but his hands shook a little. When he finished, he handed it to me. "She sounds like a kind woman," I said. He nodded and looked away. I decided to write more letters. This time, not just to my family. I wrote one to myself. I wrote what I wanted after the war. A house near a lake, a garden, a dog. I wanted a slow life, a quiet one. I didn't want to forget the war, but I didn't want it to follow me forever. That letter was a promise to myself. The next morning we got new orders. We had to move again. I felt a small pain in my chest. I didn't want to leave. I had found a little hope there, a small light. But we packed our things and said goodbye. Emil gave me a small stone from the garden. "For luck," he said. I put it in my pocket with the charm. We walked for hours that day. The road was harder than before. My bag felt heavier. My legs hurt. But I didn't stop. I held the stone in my hand for a moment. It gave me strength. David walked beside me as always. He looked tired, but he smiled when I looked at him. That smile helped me keep going. That night we made camp near a river. It was not the same river as before, but the sound was familiar. I lay on the ground and looked at the stars. The sky was full of them. I thought of home again. I thought of my sister, of Emile, of the garden. I whispered soon and closed my eyes. I hoped I was right. Days passed, and we kept moving. Each place looked different, but the feeling stayed the same. Long roads, cold nights, heavy boots. I stopped counting the days. I just walked. I just followed. I started to forget what home smelled like. I forgot the sound of my sister's laugh. Only David reminded me who I was before all this. One evening we reached an old building. It was broken but strong enough to rest in. We sat on the floor, our backs to the wall. David handed me a small candy from his pocket. "Found it in my bag," he said. I laughed and took it. It was sweet, and for a moment I felt like a child again, just a boy, not a soldier. We spent 2 days in that place. We cleaned the rooms and fixed the roof with broken wood. The wind outside was loud, but inside it was warm. I wrote more in my notebook. I filled 3 pages that night. I wrote about the people I missed, the food I loved, the dreams I still held. Writing was like breathing for me. On the 3rd day, new soldiers arrived. They were younger than us, their faces still full of fear. David and I helped them settle in. We showed them where to put their things, how to keep warm, how to listen for danger. One of them, Leo, reminded me of Emile. He was quiet but kind. He followed me everywhere. That night, Leo sat beside me by the fire. He asked, "Were you scared the first time?" I nodded. "Yes," I said. But I had someone beside me. I looked at David. That made it easier. Leo didn't speak after that. He just stared at the fire. I think he understood what I meant. He didn't feel alone anymore. The next morning the wind stopped. The sky was clear. We got news that we might go home soon. The commander said it was almost over. I didn't know what to feel. Happy? Afraid? I had waited for this moment, but it felt strange. I had changed. We had all changed. I didn't know who I would be at home. When the day came, we packed for the last time. David stood beside me and smiled. "Ready?" he asked. I nodded. My heart was loud in my chest. I took one last look at the place behind us. Then we walked toward the truck that would take us home. My bag was full, but it wasn't heavy. I had made it. I was still me.